I just stepped in that pumpkin right there, and let me tell you, it's not a good situation for either my shoe or my jeans. But I guess that's the risk you take when heading out into the wild. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. So I think I found what I've been looking for. One of the most popular things to do in this area this time of year is to go out and pick your own pumpkin. It is not the weekend right now, so most of the tourists are at home. I think I am actually the only person in this entire pumpkin patch. Check this out. You know what this is reminding me of, right? Do I have to say? My favorite holiday special of all time, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Can't you almost just hear the Linus and Lucy theme song? Sing poor Linus, roll the pumpkin through the pumpkin patch. I could see how hard it is to roll this. I'm not gonna roll this much further. These pumpkins have already been picked. I don't get it. They've already been picked, so there's very little work to be done here. So I'm commonly asked, which is my favorite autumn Yankee candle? And that's a loaded question. It's very difficult for me to pick favorites, but one that I find that I gravitate towards this time of year is going to be a candle by the name of Pumpkin Wreath. Are you familiar with this one? If you're not, or if you are, let's have a talk. All right, here it is, Pumpkin Wreath. Let's talk about this candle. This is definitely up my alley. Although this candle is called Pumpkin Wreath, there's a whole lot of harvest New Englandish things happening inside this jar. So let's crack it open and let's start talking. And like the name suggests, we do have pumpkin, and it's coming through in a few different ways. It's not coming through in like a pumpkin pie. It's not coming through as spiced pumpkin latte. You do get the spices, but there's a level of freshness. Imagine taking that knife to the pumpkin, carving it open, and smelling the innards, the flesh, the rawness of that pumpkin. However, there's also a baked, savory pumpkin component here. Think of butternut squash, right? Cut open the butternut squash, bake it low and slow in the oven. You get that really super sweet, savory, thick aroma of that baked gourd. So it's not just fresh pumpkin, but we're also getting that baked pumpkin. We're even getting a little bit of that roasted pumpkin seed. The other thing that's jumping out is apple. And we can go down a few different avenues here to describe how this apple is showing in the candle. You know, you could easily say apple pie filling. We could easily say baked apple. But for me, what's being triggered in my mind is apple fritter. It's mainly that big, heavy, thick, syrupy globs of apple and spices, really warm. There's a little bit of a corn stalks here behind me. You've heard me say this in the past, cream corn element in this candle that's adding to the overall sweetness. That classic harvest concoction, the apple, the pumpkin, the corn, baking spices. We all know this by now, right? Autumn candles equal baking spices. 99% of the time when we're talking about autumn or fall candles, they're going to incorporate baking spices. And there's a nice, soft cinnamon in this candle. There are some other spices, clove perhaps, nutmeg perhaps, but the softer cinnamon is really what's coming through. And let me build upon that. Coffee cake. You know that crumbly goodness that you find on top of a coffee cake? Plus the cakiness, a little bit of vanilla, hazelnut, almost a sunflower seed. Okay, and I'm just following my nose here. I have to trust my nose. It's what we have. It's our tool. We have to trust it. What I'm smelling is, no joke, Captain Crunch. And I bet you if you were here smelling this with me, or if you have it at home and you can pull it off the shelf and smell it, you would smell it too. I'm not talking about the Captain Crunch berries. I'm talking about the standard yellow golden Captain Crunch cereal. Fresh out of the box, there's that heightened level of crystallized sugar of that Captain Crunch cereal. Whew. So interesting. There is also a woodiness here. The way I'm going to describe it, the way it's showing to me, if you've ever had the pleasure of smelling an empty Chardonnay oak barrel, meaning a winemaker has made a white wine out of Chardonnay grapes, aged it in French oak barrels. If you've stuck your nose inside that barrel, it's kind of what's happening here. Why? Because Chardonnay, just by the very nature of the fruit, it tends to mimic the aromas of tree fruit like apples and pears. When you stick your nose in that empty Chardonnay barrel, you're going to smell that residual Chardonnay because that barrel takes on the flavor of the wine, but you're also smelling the oakiness, that really intense French oak aromatic. So to sum it up, we have fresh and baked elements of pumpkin. We're going to have apple in the form of super oxidized, sweet, spiced up apple fritter. We have frosting, we have vanilla, we have the nutty components like hazelnut, sunflower seed, the sweetened corn, the cream corn, coffee cake, the sweet cinnamon crumble that we find on top of the coffee cake. And lastly, and the most fun for me, Captain Crunch, breakfast cereal, pumpkin wreath. I have to say, I'm really loving this candle. This is a mammoth of complexity. Wonderful execution from the folks at Yankee Candle. I really enjoy that scent. Let me do this. I want to adjust the exposure on my camera real quick. You see that? Pretty dark, right? That's how it actually looks to me here. I'm losing the sun very quick. So I do want to sum up, and by summing up, I want to thank you if you've watched this video or any of my other videos. It's awesome if you stuck with me thus far. But I want to leave you off with the question: what is your favorite Yankee Candle autumn fragrance? And if you want to elaborate, explain what it reminds you of. What are the memories that it evokes? What are the associations that you have with that candle? Why is it special to you? This candle is special for me because honestly, when I'm watching It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, most likely I'm going to be burning this candle. And when I smell it, it brings back the memory of all of the wonderful experiences I've had while watching that television special that is such a part of this time of year. Just makes me smile just thinking about it. So I want to hear your story. I want to hear about your candle, your scent, and why it's special to you. That's going to do it for me today, folks. I have a question for you. Are you a candle enthusiast? Yeah? Well, then I'll see you real soon.